Bam. Preaching the words, Assalamu alaikum, which means peace and blessings be upon you. And I mentioned both Jesus and Muhammad's names. Peace be upon them both. They were both messengers of truth and reality. You're looking at the Underground Railroad TV show. I'm here with Alderman Virgil Jones. It is my co-host. I want to say hi to the people in the United States, Canada, Central America, Asia, Africa, the UK, and Asia, and the Middle East, and Africa. Because you know, with me and Alderman Jones, I'm not bragging, we can't be trivialized and say we just seen in Chicago. We seen all over the world. And I'm gonna have Alderman introduce himself, and our guest today will be Ali Baghdadi, but I'm gonna have him, Alderman, introduce himself.
Well, not only was I the alderman, I was a Democratic Ward committeeman of the 15th Ward in the city of Chicago, which is a political party position, not a political office.
Yes, yes. And you know what? We are honored to our guest, our distinguished guest, Brother Ali Baghdadi, who was a contributor to Muhammad Speaks newspaper in Chicago, Final Call newspaper, and he writes for other publications all over the world. And greet him in the words of Assalamu alaikum. Yes, sir. And I want to thank you, Brother Ali Baghdadi, for coming to us by satellite, because it really is satellite, but it's over the phone. And tell us, people, something about yourself, please, before we get started.
I am a Palestinian from Jerusalem who came to the United States as a student in 1967, in 1960, and I have been active politically, supporting causes of oppressed people, whether they were in the Middle East or here in the United States and all over the world.
Yes. And Brother Ali Baghdadi, the first question I want to pose to you is, was it necessary for the 6-day war that transpired in Israel?
What I heard, that is really fabricated history. That was distortion of the real truth.
Okay.
Okay, and that is one-sided. That is the Israeli version of events. Before we talk about the 1967 war, we should talk about really the establishment of Israel and explain the intentions of Israel from day one.
Yes, sir.
You know, during the First World War, the Allies, France, and Britain invaded the Middle East, invaded the Ottoman Empire, and Arabs were part of that empire.
Yes, sir.
And they were able to find traitors among the Arabs. The Sharif of Mecca, his name is Hussein ibn Ali. He is the one who established the Hashemite dynasty in Jordan and also in Iraq.
Yes, sir.
And they promised him that he is going to become the king of the Arab world. Instead of fulfilling their promise, they promised the Jews to establish a home for them in Palestine.
Yes, sir.
They promised Jews who live in Europe, who have nothing to do with Palestine, and they are not even Semites. They belong to the other tribes of Europe.
Wow.
And instead of establishing a kingdom for the Arab world, they divided the Arab world into small pieces.
You say they did this after the Ottoman Empire collapsed and annexed up the Middle East after World War I. Okay.
Yes.
Ali,
and they divided the Middle East into small pieces, and they installed rulers under their supervision and under their occupation.
Okay.
I will answer your question.
Britain occupied Palestine and allowed the the Jews to come in masses to Palestine, and that was illegitimate and that was illegal.
Yes. We got other
And
questions.
the Jews started coming from Europe, and the Jews, after the First World War, they were 7.5% of the total population, and they owned very little of the land, like 5% of the entire land.
Yes, sir.
Those Jews were Arab Jews, and
Yes.
they are part of us.
Yes, sir. We got other
Later
questions.
on, the number of Jews inflated, and Arabs were not allowed to have any training in weapons or in war.
I didn't know that.
The British who ruled Palestine allowed the Jews to have military hardware and training.
Okay, we got other questions for you, Ali Baghdadi.
I want to ask you a question. Isn't it not true that part of the reason that the British wanted the Middle East and the United States was because of the oil that they found was there? Is that not true?
Yes, they want the oil, they want the natural resources of the Middle East, and also the Middle East is a bridge to Europe, Africa, and Asia. It is one of the most important, if not the most important,
Okay.
Next question.
part of the entire world.
Next question I want
And
to
they
ask.
are able to access entire Asia, Africa, and again Europe through the Middle East.
Next question I want to ask you. Isn't it true that originally they wanted to put Israel in Central Africa?
Congo.
They promised Israel, the Jews several places. One of them was Kenya. Another place was Argentina. Another place was the eastern part of Arabia where the oil is. They made a mistake. They didn't take the last choice. They wanted Palestine. And again, the Israelis fought the Palestinians in 1948. The Arab armies were under British and French control, and Israel was able to occupy 72% of Palestine.
Well, you know,
If
Ali,
you go to the Senate, the Israeli parliament, the Knesset, you'll see the intention of Israel, Eretz of Israel, Israel, the large Israel. And you will see that the map shows that Israel extends from the Euphrates in Iraq to the Nile in Egypt. That's what they want. That's what is their intention.
Yeah, excuse me, Brother Ali Baghdadi. There is tension that is going on in Egypt right now. Okay, they deposed the President Morsi, who was head of the Islamic Brotherhood. What is your opinion on that and what's going on in, no, not Egypt.
But we'll
Yeah, in
come back
Egypt.
to this after we go about and talk about little history that led to the 1967 war.
Okay.
Okay, so the intention of Israel is to have Eretz Israel, larger Israel, from the Euphrates to the Nile. So their policies aimed at this all the time. So the 1967, in 1956, Israel, together with Britain and France, attacked Egypt and occupied the Sinai Desert. Eisenhower forced Egypt and forced Israel and Britain and France to withdraw. In 1967, Israel found an opportunity to go and occupy Arab lands.
Yes.
you know,
And they tell you that Israel is a small country surrounded by military powers of the Arab world,
Yes.
And the truth is, that is a lie. Let me tell you this, what Robert McMurray, who was the U.S.
Secretary of State.
Secretary of Defense during the Johnson administration, he emphasized and assured President Johnson that Israel will be militarily unchallengeable by any combination of Arab states. Also, this so-called small Israel has an army of 280,000 soldiers, while all the Arab countries combined, their armies were 117,000. The forces that the Egyptians have in Sinai were only 30,000 that was run by the Israelis. So Israel threatened Syria, and the Arabs said, Egypt said that they are going to defend Syria if Syria was attacked.
Yeah. Excuse me, Brother Ali Baghdadi. Want to go to Iran. Do you feel that they have the right to have nuclear capabilities if they're using them for peaceful means?
Of course, that's the law of, and that's international law. Every country in the world has that right. This is a technology that is so important in many fields, particularly medicine. And Iran is determined not to have weapons of mass destruction because it is against Islam to possess such weapons. And Iran told the entire world that they are prepared to have all nuclear facilities open for inspection by the International Energy Committee.
Okay. Well, you know, Gaddafi went along with that program, and Saddam Hussein went along with that program, and you know what happened to them.
Right. And again, those programs were for peaceful purposes, not for military purposes whatsoever. And going back to 1967 war, the Israelis found it a good opportunity to occupy and to achieve some of their objectives, expand Israel.
Well,
and, you know, again, Israel was able to defeat the countries. I am talking about Syria and Egypt. In 5 days.
Well, you know, Ali, in reference to
Due
that,
to the fact that America made sure that the quality and quantity and the sophistication of weapons Israel has, which is donated by the United States, is very superior to all the weapons possessed by the Arab countries.
Well, Ali, I want to tell you something. When I was in prison, I met a guy in there who used to be with the CIA, and they had put him in prison. But we were talking one day, and he said, do you know why the Arabs lost the '67 war? I said, no, I have no idea, except that they were given greater superiority of weapons. He said, no, it didn't have nothing to do with that. He said the United States gave them, sprayed LSD over all the Arab troops. He said, and 7 days later, the war was over.
What's your response to that?
I never heard this whatsoever, and you know, this is ridiculous, really. That is not true whatsoever. They lost the war because Israel made a preemptive strike, and because Israel possessed the most sophisticated weapons in the arsenal of the United States.
Okay.
While the Arab armies don't have that kind of weapons. Plus the fact that, as I told you earlier, the number of the Israeli military that were involved in the war were 280,000, while all the Arab countries combined, the Arab countries that do not have that kind of weapons only have 117,000 soldiers.
Yes, sir. Brother Ali Baghdadi, there is internal sectarian violence, in a sense, going on in Syria right now. And Egypt, the Islamic Brotherhood, they deposed President Morsi. Comment on both of those subject matters, Syria and Egypt.
It is not really a sectarian war.
Yeah.
It is a war between terrorists that were created by the United States, Israel, Britain, and France to divide the Middle East into smaller pieces for the sake of Israel, to benefit Israel, and also to control the oil and other resources in the Middle East. Plus the fact they discovered a huge amount of gas on the seashore of Syria that the United States and the European love to have.
Yes,
so
sir.
the war really is about gas.
Gas, gas, all the
energy.
dope.
And also by controlling the oil and also the gas, the new gas reserves of Syria, they will be able to control Russia, which has a lot of influence on Europe, because Europe today depends on the gas that is imported from Russia.
Okay. Okay. So
well, you know, I don't know if you'll agree with me, but I have something that I call God, and I don't spell it with a capital G and a capital O and a capital D. But I call God guns, oil, and dope.
That's good option.
Yes. And Brother Ali Baghdadi. Now, this is old news about September the 11th in New York, the building going down. Okay. Do you think that the U.S. has something to do with it, and the United States went into Iran under false pretenses? Do you think that President Bush, somebody asked me this, should be wanted for war crimes? Somebody asked me to ask you that.
Brother, right now, more than 50% of the American people, as a matter of fact, the great majority of the American people today don't believe the American version of 9/11. Most Americans today believe that it was a false flag.
Okay.
It was engineered by Israeli and American intelligence. And all indications show that. Nowhere in the world those two towers can collapse by them being hit by airplanes.
Okay. And then
Every indication say, and the firemen who were at the scene, they heard the explosions coming from the basement. This was controlled demolition.
So somebody,
and experts,
excuse me, Brother Ali
American
Baghdadi.
experts,
We running short on time, but I'm saying, should somebody be indicted on war crimes?
that somebody is Bush, Cheney, Rumsfeld,
Wow.
and their gang.
Okay.
As a matter of fact, there were tribunals that tried those criminals in Malaysia and Turkey,
Okay.
and they found them guilty. one of the judges that attended those tribunals was Ramsey Clark, who is the former U.S. Attorney General during the Johnson administration. So the world already condemned those for those crimes.
Okay.
Are you familiar with Dr. Henderson with the Global Network?
Who?
Dr. Henderson with the he's on the International World Court.
I heard of him, yes.
Well, you know, they have already indicted them, the World Court, for war crimes against indigenous people, them and the Queen of England. And I wanted to say, you know, the head of security for those two buildings, which the public don't know, was George Bush's brother. And he wasn't there that day.
Yes.
My brother, building number 7, which is owned by a Jew, a billionaire, also came down.
After the fact.
It was not hit by any aeroplanes.
Right.
As a matter of fact, the owner of the building himself said, bring it down. So everything was planned.
Yeah, Dr. Ali Baghdadi, we're running short on time. Do you have any message you want to tell us about Palestine, a message about what's going on in Palestine? Because you're from Palestine.
What I am going to say is this. The American people should wake up. The American people should know their enemies and their friends. Israel is not their friend. Israel stole their technology, killed American citizens, attacked Liberty, the ship which was by Gaza, and killed 37 sailors and injured hundreds of American soldiers in 1967.
Okay.
And nobody is doing something about it.
Okay.
Nobody is bringing the criminals to trial.
One of the people, Brother Ali, is that the United States doesn't want people to know this. 51 of your United States senators are honorary members of the Jewish Knesset.
ADL.
The Jewish Knesset. Are you aware of that?
Yes, you're right.
Yeah.
So therefore, that means that the Senate is their government. That's why they get all of the money from the American people, because they've got their representatives sitting there.
Yes, you're right.
Yeah. And Dr. Ali Baghdadi, how do people get in contact with you on Facebook, on Twitter? What's your telephone number? How do they get in contact with you? Your email address?
I like them to contact me through Facebook.
Okay.
And my name on Facebook is Ali Muhammad Baghdadi.
Okay.
Ali, A-L-I, Muhammad, M-U-H-A-M-M-A-D.
So you
Baghdadi, B as in boy, A, G as in George, H as in Henry, D as in David, A, D as in David, I.
So you will do other interviews. Will you come back on Underground Railroad TV show?
Inshallah, if God wills.
I like that. Yes, sir. And you know what? I want to thank you. And this will be on YouTube. And I want to thank you and say assalamu alaikum to you, rahmatullahi barakatuh to you.
Thank you for inviting me, brother.
No, you're very welcome. And Alderman, you got any finishing comment?
No, everything's been said.
And these two seats, you know what I want to tell y'all, we have seats that are sitting up here intentionally to let you know if you want to be a guest on the Underground Railroad TV show, our blog talk radio show that I produce. Minister Cynthia Williams. Give us a telephone call. And the Gordy Foundation, which me, Mr. Glover, and Alderman Jones, we're working closely with her to develop something for the community. So give us a call. It's dealing with radio and television. Okay. And Assalamu alaikum. And I want to thank everybody all over the world for looking at that. On a Saturday night,